Welcome back, and thank you so much for staying with us as we continue to tell your story. Now, today is World Adoption Day and November is World Adoption Month. The number of adoptions in South Africa and around the world is steadily declining. According to the SA Child Gauge report, there were about 3.1 million orphaned children in South Africa in 2016. As many as 3,500 babies are abandoned each year, and this figure includes only those that survive. It is surprising, however, and concerning at the same time, therefore, that the number of adoption is steadily dropping. Only 10,021 legal adoptions were registered between 2010 and 2016 here in South Africa. Local adoptions decreased from 2,234 in 2010-2011 and to 978 in 2015-2016. But the question really is, why are we seeing a decline in adoption? We take the discussion further now with Thembi Mtshweni. Thembi is an adoption social worker at Abba Specialist Adoption and Social Services, and she joins me now in our studios in Johannesburg. Good afternoon to you, Thembi. Thank you so much for coming through.
Afternoon, Palisa. Thank you for having me.
Thank you so much indeed. This is a very important topic because adoption really is one of the most viable care options that one can give to orphaned children and those who've been abandoned.
Yes.
Let's just start with the importance of adopting.
It's very important to adopt, sorry, because by adopting you'll make a huge difference in South Africa. As you are looking at the statistics of the children that are orphaned, it's very high. So if you adopt, you make a difference, not only for the child, but in the community. It's about Ubuntu. You know, when we are talking about Ubuntu, because really we are not supposed to have this huge number of children that are abandoned while we are here as South Africans looking at these children.
But what could be the reasons, as I said on my introduction, Thembi, that we're seeing a decline in adoptions in South Africa? Is it the socioeconomic situations? People don't have money and they feel, what I have is enough.
It's just for me. Yeah, there are a lot of things that are making people not to consider the decision to adopt. First, it's socioeconomic. People, they think that I'm not having a stable job. So for me, I'm not financially stable to look after the child. But others, it's about cultural issues. The person is thinking that when I'm adopting this child,
my ancestors will not recognize the child.
My ancestors will not know this child. Yeah. But we're thinking the people that have come with a positive mind and they are adopting. While they are still in cultural beliefs, they know that, okay, we are going to introduce this child to our ancestors and say, now there's another member.
We slaughter and introduce them.
Yes.
Talking about slaughtering and culture and, you know, the challenges, let's just break it down, you know, into race. I don't want to do this, but let's just paint that picture between the races. Who adopts the most?
Black and white. But I can say the majority for now, it's black. But it's black same race. And then there's interrace.
Okay.
Yes, we are seeing a lot of our black people, they are adopting, but the number is not the one that we are looking for. We're wishing that they can adopt more. Yes.
Adoption processes, you know, there are some views that adoption is a front to child trafficking. So how true is this? Because as far as I know, the process is rigorous. It's not an easy one. You have to go through certain processes before you can adopt. So it's not an easy process. Could it be a front to child trafficking?
Yeah, it's very important. I love that question because it sent me back to the question that we have asked, that what makes people not to adopt. Child trafficking, adoption, it's totally two different things. With adoption, you have to go legal road to adopt the child. And then with human trafficking, it's something else, but I will focus on adoption. Okay. And then with adoption, it's another thing that people, they lack knowledge, they don't know where to go for, because it's not anyone who can provide the service of adoption. It's not any social worker that can provide the adoption. So it's also another obstacles that make people not So
information is not accessible to to many people.
To many in terms of adopting, because you ask any other social worker and then maybe doesn't have any information of the adoption social worker or accredited organization that will help you with adoption.
All right, so you have a social worker that's responsible entirely for adoption like you.
Yes.
The challenges that you come across on a daily basis, let's talk about those.
You mean about adopting?
Yeah, the challenges that you come across, you know, on a day-to-day basis when you're at work, you're able to sit and identify, okay, these are the common challenges that I come across.
Yeah, I can say one of the common challenges is that there are other people who just want to come and knock at the door and say, I'm here to adopt. And they are expecting that in a week time, we'll give her a child. And it's a process.
It's a process.
So that is one of our challenges, because others, they have a challenge that because we don't give you, you don't go and pick a child and say, it's not like pick and pay that you pick and then you pay for the adoption service. We screen you for the child that you never see. So to others, is that a challenge? And also to us, it becomes a challenge. And another challenge is a challenge because we got children from the hospital. You find that at that hospital, you are the sister or you are the doctor, and then you see that child. And now you get information that this child was abandoned. Now you want to adopt that child, that specific child. And then when you call us and then you say, there's a child in this hospital and I want to adopt this specific child. So this is another challenge that we are coming across with.
So are you saying, if I go to one of the homes and, you know, I love one of the children there and I want that specific one, will I not be able to be given the child that I want?
Yeah, the challenge...
Do I get to choose, or the social workers have to assist in that regard?
Yeah, we don't encourage people to choose children, especially when they're visiting our place of safety, because children there are there with different reasons. There are those that are placed there, but their parents, biologically parents, are still visiting them. And there are those who are there, they are orphaned, who are still in investigation. So for you to come and choose, it doesn't work with us, because it depends on the child's history, the background of the child, and where we are at that stage with that particular child.
But if I insist that, no, I want that one, Thembi, specifically, how does it work out?
Then we'll sit down with you, and then we will want to get the motivation. What motivated you to want to adopt this specific child? You wanted to adopt before, or you look at the child and then you feel sorry for the child. What motivates you to adopt? What motivates you to want this specific child?
But what are the common reasons? Why do people adopt? Because you get people who adopt for the fact that they cannot have their own children, and you get those that would go to one of your centers or homes and they just fall in love with kids. I've got a friend of mine who adopted, and she, you know, had visited the center on many occasions, and she started having this bond with that child. That's when she decided that maybe it's time that I take this child home. So I suppose there are various reasons to the decision to adopt.
There are different reasons, Palisa, but most of the reason it's the reason of infertility. Most of our clients are infertile. They went through the IVFs, they've tried everything, and then adoption, most of the time, it becomes the last option for our client. It's very rare to get people who just come to extend their family members or just to have love to adopt while they can have their own biological child.
We've seen in other African countries that you would get celebrities from overseas who would come to Africa and adopt. Here in South Africa, how does it work? Is that allowed?
Yes, is it allowed? Like in our organization, we are working with other countries, but I think it's 3 countries that we are in agreement with. So we call it inter-country adoptions. Yes.
The reality, Thembi, as I said, is that the cost of living is very high, socioeconomic challenges. It makes it difficult for one to even be able to raise their own children. So your message to someone who's watching there, who's watching this interview and has never considered adoption as an option, what would you say to that person?
I will say, bantu basekhaya, bantu bakithi, please come. consider adoption. You'll make a difference in that child's life, because those children who are there in our place of safety, there's no mommy, there's no daddy, there's no family. Each and every child deserves to be in a permanent family. We don't encourage our children to stay in the system until they get old, because after 18 years, they are no longer children, they are adults. So please consider adoption. Don't look what other people will say, but look in making a difference in our society.
Consider adoption and make a difference, of course. That message from Thembi Mtshweni. She, of course, is an adoption social worker at Abba Specialist Adoption and Social Services, talking to us about today being Adoption Day. You may want to weigh in on this. Please talk to us at SA Today _SABC. It is our Twitter handle. I'm taking